They've existed for more than 1,000 years and have affected warfare and society in general in ways perhaps no other invention can match. It all started in China around 850 CE when Chinese alchemists accidentally created gunpowder while trying to develop a fountain of youth potion. The resulting black powder, called huo yao, meaning flaming medicine, was a blend of charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. The oldest surviving firearm is the Heilongjiang hand cannon dated to 1288, which was discovered in modern-day Aking district where the history of Yuan records that battles were fought. Lai Ting, a military commander of Jurchen descent, led foot soldiers armed with hand cannons to suppress the rebellion of the Christian Mongol Prince Nan. The then reigning Song dynasty was the first to have used gunpowder in warfare. They did so against the Mongols, whose constant invasions into the country plagued the Chinese throughout the period. The Chinese attacked the Mongols with fire lances, or flying fire arrows fixed with tubes of gunpowder that, when ignited, would propel across enemy lines. Firearms appeared in the Middle East between the late 13th and early 14th century. Ahmad Y. Al-Hassan claimed that the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260 pitted the Mamluks against the Mongols. The first cannon in history used gunpowder almost identical with the musket first appeared in the Ottoman Empire by 1465. In the Shen Kai Pu, a firearms manual written in 1598, gunpowder made its way to Europe in the 13th century, likely over the Silk Road trade route through Central Asia. Rival nations refined gunpowder recipes in the ensuing centuries before arriving at the optimal mixture. Approximately 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur. By 1350, rudimentary gunpowder cannons were commonplace in the English and French militaries, who used the explosive technology against each other during the 100 Years' War. As the centuries continued, new and improved cannons were designed, many of which were small and portable. Eventually, the hand cannon was developed in the early 15th century. It was the first real personal firearm. The Ottoman Turks used these and other cannons during the successful siege of Constantinople in 1453. The powerful new weapons essentially rendered traditional walled fortifications of Europe defenseless. Historians generally consider the Chinese fire lance as the first gun. But before the 15th century, these early guns were tricky to fire. They required both hands and a burning wick to ignite the powder. But before the 15th century, these early guns were tricky to fire. They required both hands and a burning wick to ignite the powder. Enter the invention of the lock, an internal firing mechanism that made shooting a hand-held firearm more efficient, easier, and safer. The first was a matchlock, followed by a series of enhancements until we get something more akin to the guns we know today. The first known gun to use a matchlock was the 15th century French arquebus, a short-barreled long gun held at the shoulder yet small enough to be handled by one person. A gunpowder-soaked cord in an S-shaped arm burned at both ends until it touched a flash powder pan, sending a small ball soaring toward its enemy. Despite their greater accuracy, they were cumbersome weapons that required at least 2 minutes between firings. Guns slowly replaced old guard weapons because they were more economical rather than more lethal. Becoming a highly skilled swordsman or archer required lifelong devotion, but a few weeks or months of training could turn a lower-class soldier into a capable gunner. Revolvers are pistols that can fire multiple bullets without reloading. Although the basic design dates back to the 17th century, revolvers only took off when Samuel Colt produced his version in 1835. The Chinese fire-spurting lances are a far cry from the guns used today. Here's how some of the best-known modern guns came to be. Colt used interchangeable parts to manufacture his firearms, which helped his pistols become the most widely used in the U.S. Civil War. During the U.S. Civil War, soldiers used an early machine gun known as a Gatling gun. Invented in 1862 by Richard Jordan Gatling, the Gatling gun used a hand crank mechanism to shoot rapid fire. The invention of smokeless gunpowder led to the development of the Maxim gun by Hiram Maxim in 1884. Unlike hand-cranked Gatling guns, Maxim guns were recoil-operated and famously used in conflicts, including the Spanish-American War and the South African Boer War. Maxim-style guns remained popular during both World Wars, but the assault rifle eventually replaced them. Assault rifles can switch between automatic and semi-automatic firing. German inventor Hugo Schmeisser developed the first assault rifle during World War II, the Sturmgewehr 44. Later in the Second World War, Russian inventor Mikhail Timofeyevich Kalashnikov developed the now famous AK-47. That's all for today. See you in another video.